Martin Van Buren, A Life from Beginning to End. Written by Hourly History. Narrated by Arthur Rowan. Introduction. The grandeur of the conception of America in its early years is more or less familiar to the casual student of history. The men who were born subjects of the British Empire threw off the shackles of the crown to fight for a new nation, first with muskets, and then with quill pens. But what happened after the Founding Fathers were in the ground, and the torch had been passed to the generation of Americans who were born as citizens not of Great Britain, but of the United States? It's a tale well worth the telling, and a crucial figure in the story is that of Martin Van Buren, the first American president, a political insider well acquainted with the backroom deals that made the art of the possible a reality. From the beginning of his role in government, when he was on the Erie Canal Commission, to his machinations as a leader in the Democratic Party, Van Buren knew how to get things done. Martin Van Buren was the first president of the United States who was born an American citizen. His legacy has come to be regarded with a new perspective by historians who see in the eighth president a vital layer in the development of the political system that has become familiar in modern-day campaigning. Anyone who looks askance on the circus of the 2016 presidential campaign must realize that in politics, getting it done is the goal. Martin Van Buren, who wielded power in his party and had the courtly temperament of a gentleman, knew how to blend shrewdness and good manners. As the life of the eighth president is examined more closely, it's apparent that in his career, we see how the merger of American myth and pragmatism created the structure of the existing political parties. He was the son of immigrants who spoke Dutch, not English, at home. His parents ran a tavern, but they encouraged their son to better himself through education. He rose through the ranks of political leadership until his career intersected with that of Andrew Jackson, the president of the common man. The urbane and courtly Van Buren and the fiery Jackson made an unlikely pair, but Old Hickory benefited from the man who served him first as Secretary of State and then as Vice President. Van Buren was a diplomat who recognized that diplomacy was the preferable option to war, a policy he followed when he was president and the issue of the annexation of Texas required a cool head rather than fervor. However, the presidency of Andrew Jackson cast a long shadow over Van Buren's administration, particularly when the Panic of 1837 dealt a devastating blow to the American economy. Jackson's dislike of the national bank and his preference for hard currency led to a financial panic 2 months after Van Buren succeeded him in office. The nation took years to recover, which led to the rise of the Whig Party and their defeat of Van Buren in the 1840 election. There were other national events which also created a dilemma for Van Buren. Texas had declared its independence from Mexico, and its desire to join the United States was matched by the desire of Americans to welcome Texas into the Union. But the growing anti-slavery faction feared that the inclusion of Texas would disrupt the balance between slave states and free states. Van Buren lived long enough to see the nation he had led split into 2 separate countries with 2 conflicting agendas. Devoted though he was to the Democratic Party, he supported Abraham Lincoln's reasons for going to war. He did not live to see the nation brought together again, but perhaps his innate optimism assured him that all would be well, and that the United States would overcome its trials to live out his prediction that, in all the attributes of a great, happy, and flourishing people, we stand without a parallel in the world. Abroad we enjoy the respect and, with scarcely an exception, the friendship of every nation. At home, while our government quietly but efficiently performs the sole legitimate end of political institutions, in doing the greatest good to the greatest number, we present an aggregate of human prosperity surely not elsewhere to be found. Chapter 1. An American is Born. Unlike all who have preceded me, The revolution that gave us existence as one people.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.